This Vermont weather hazards outlook is valid the rest of today, Thursday, through Wednesday, March the 16th. Steadier rains for Thursday afternoon and evening will work in from the west. This will be followed by a brief cool down with the passage of a cold front, shunting precipitation mostly off to our south of our region later overnight. Great project weather should develop for Friday with a lot of sunshine during the afternoon and calmer conditions. Saturday and Sunday will also see some very fine weather this weekend, along with another warm-up. Utilities should monitor, though, the possibility for gradient wind gusts. This will be a low-impact situation for the Green Mountains and points immediately east of the Green Mountains. During the afternoon on Saturday, this will be very short-lived. We'll get to a little bit later. Otherwise, benign weather should follow, but remain well above seasonal normals in terms of temperature through the middle part of next week. What an early spring-like weather pattern. We have a very large ridge of higher pressure. These are the 500 millibar analysis isobars here, and you can see that the flow is generally around this ridge of higher pressure, curving more and more southwest. This has been an inflow along the Gulf of Mexico. This is an upper-level system here that has been bringing snow to the West Mexican mountains. And this particular situation with this Gulf of Mexico feed will continue and produce very bad flooding for parts of Louisiana, Arkansas, and points east. And then it does look like little bits and pieces of this kind of breaks off with a sort of an atmospheric river type setup circulating anticyclonically around the area of higher pressure and into Vermont. It looks like a chunk of moisture will be working in for this afternoon. You can see it here coming through New York State. There's more where that comes through later on in its life cycle. However, there is a cold front out here, and this is going to drop southward and shunt the precipitation into southern New England as we get into during the day on Friday. Thus, improvement coming in from north to south, but with colder temperatures. Okay, this is the setup. You can see this sort of atmospheric river here that's coming in off the Gulf of Mexico, some pretty heavy precipitation, but it becomes moderate as it heads north and into our neck of the woods. This is the chunk of rain we're talking about here. Tropical-like rainfall, it's really, really a stretch. However, with melting snow in the area and in many of our local mountains, and especially the higher Green Mountains, this is exacerbating some of our local rivers and streams to kind of a typical spring rise, but they all appear to be staying below any kind of minor action for flood stages. So the worries are far less than what would normally occur with a heavier snowpack and rains moving across that with the kind of warm temperatures we're seeing right now. Looking at the 6-hourly panels here, what you can see is that chunk of rain kind of moving on through. This would be valid about 7 o'clock Thursday evening. Then thereafter, the precipitation lightens up. This area of higher pressure here, along with its colder air, these blue lines kind of showing where the temperatures are below the freezing mark. That's going to be pushing into the region during the overnight period. This is valid actually 7 o'clock in the morning during Friday morning. And that precipitation is pretty much out of here and vanishes. A little bit of a northwest wind on the backside of that system, but not very much. No issues for gradient winds there. That high pressure system then moves on through during the weekend, especially on Friday into Friday night, but then gets pushed off to the south. This second system here is going to give us a little bit of a gradient wind issue. It's really up and down the spine of the Green Mountains. It does not look like it's going to be a very big impact. The only thing that's going on, though, is we do have saturated soils, and so that may lower the threshold. So something we'll have to watch. It'll be a very short-lived event. This would be basically Saturday afternoon and into probably falling apart as we get toward dark. So not a big deal here, just something we'll have to keep a close eye on. That's about the only real utility impact to worry about at this point. Now beyond that, another area of higher pressure tries to build in, and if anything, we start to cool down. This will be good for the maple sugaring industry to get a recharge. And that area of higher pressure continues, it looks like, into Sunday night. By Monday, later in the afternoon, some rain showers begin to push on into the region. And we're talking about rain showers again here. Beyond that, as we get into Wednesday, another cold front. Looks like this again would be in the form of rain showers, but maybe tailing off with a little tiny bit of wet snowflakes in some of our local mountains along about Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. This is not going to be a big deal. Looks like relatively low impact. The main areas, though, of course, is this particular area with a lot of precipitation and where all the flooding has been occurring. Give you a quick idea here using the European model of just showing you where the heaviest precipitation is. You can see with those reds and those white areas within that red area, those are up around, what, 6 inches? And so you can see the tremendous amount of rainfall up the mid-Mississippi Valley, kind of into the Ohio River Basin, and then a little bit as we get into Vermont and the northeast United States, but we're talking about barely getting into an inch territory here. Yeah, the more dramatic thing is the temperature anomalies, the 2-meter temperature anomalies coast to coast. You can see just how warm it is. And just running these here, you can see this is a major warm-up taking place across Canada, south of Hudson Bay, of all places. This time of the year, this is just unprecedented. And this warm-up just continues until we start to see a little bit of a cool down in the west. And just carrying that through, you can see over toward the Rockies, we have colder than normal temperatures by 10 to 15 degrees or so. But does that ever get to the east? Barely. A little bit of a cool spot here. You can see the Green Mountains kind of showing up. That would be valid 12Z Thursday beyond this period. And just kind of carrying this a little further out, looks like we warm back up again. Now the west gets much colder. The east stays pretty warm. And this is 10 days out. Valid, that would be Saturday at 7 p.m. on the 20th. Or the 19th of March. 7-day total precipitation accumulation, all in the form of rain. You can see the heavy spots here, greater than 8 inches southeast of New Orleans. And this kind of extends along the Ohio River, makes that arc around this area of higher pressure as it rotates, this persistent rainfall, and then into the northeast United States. So basically we're talking a ½ inch to our north, 1 inch amounts here in the blue, 1.5 inches southeastern New Hampshire, coastal areas, and so forth. This is a 7-day snowfall ending yesterday morning, and my location about 1 inch. We had 5 inches up around the West Danville, Walden area, and you can see 6 and 7 inches over towards Standard. So we picked up additional snowfall, which then has mostly melted out since our 60 to 70 degree record high temperatures yesterday that occurred Wednesday. And one more look at temperatures from the Weather Prediction Center. This is maximum temperatures over the next 5 days. And then you can see about 3 days later, not a lot of change in the east. A little inroad here of colder air, some of that El Nino storminess. This morning's GFS ensemble show did a little smidgen of snow on the back edge of this little shot of precipitation. That's the little bit of stuff moving in from the west for Thursday afternoon into the evening hours. Then not a whole lot going on. We have a nice weekend, and then we're looking at some sporadic minor shower activity starting Monday afternoon and continuing off and on. But note how green it is here. Of course, that's all rain, and how limited the snowfall is. And it looks like that's going to be the case for the next 10 days. And when temperatures are this warm, typically this time of year, we have to keep an eye out for thunderstorms, but Storm Prediction Center seems to indicate that the chances are pretty limited. They try to make a run into the Ohio River Valley, and not a whole lot going on. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.